It is Thanksgiving Eve, and I know a lot of you at home are probably trying to become a lot healthier these days. It's called Make America Healthy Again, and so many Americans are backing just that. And we're ready to arm you with all of the facts to make sure you're making the right selections. Dr. Peter McCullough is going to be joining me in a few moments to talk all about improving our nation's health. And then I've got a major announcement, something I'm very excited about, something I'm about to launch. It's going to be great. We're going to kick it off tonight. So that's a big one. I'll be showing you in just a few moments. But it's not just Make America Healthy Again that we're going to be talking about today. We're also going to be talking about the border and specifically Mexico. Mexico's president really didn't send the nicest of letters to President Donald Trump. And she tried to sound a little spicy. And that's me playing it on the nicer side. She's a bitch. And that's what came out in that letter that she forwarded to the president-elect. But you know, President Trump's not going to play that game with her. She's going to get checked real soon. I'm going to be joined by Victor Avila in just a few moments, and he's going to break all of that down for me. President Trump is ticking off all the right people. You know, we like that, of course. He's been floating the idea of bringing back tariffs, but specifically 25% tariffs for Mexico and Canada and 10% for China. Now, obviously, Mexico and Canada is not very happy about that. And, well, the president of Mexico, she's sent the letter, and it wasn't very nice, I have to say. Claudia Steinbaum is her name. She addressed President Trump in a letter, you know, after the tariffs, and pretty much was going after him for what he's calling out as the invasion going on right now in our country and how Mexico's done nothing to stop it. Now, ultimately, and this is the interesting part, she's calling out the United States for egging on, number one, the fentanyl crisis, because she says that our country has a problem. And then she's also talking about the caravans, saying that caravans of migrants are no longer reaching our border, which you and I both know is a lie. Now she goes on to attacking our country by saying that we're funding other wars when we should be having peace talks and funding other things that are important to us, and just goes on and on and on. Obviously, she's not starting off on the right foot with President Trump, and she probably should check herself, of course, because President Trump definitely will when he gets back into the White House in just a few weeks. Joining me to discuss is Victor Avila. He is a retired HSI ICE special agent, and he joins me now. Victor, so the president of Mexico, she's not really trying to step in on the right foot right now. She didn't really come off too friendly with this letter that she sent President Trump. And there's a lot of reasons for it. Number one, she has ties to the World Economic Forum, and you just have to go to their website to see it. They're bragging about her. They love her over there, the WEF. But also, she is trying to say that this invasion is our fault, which I say it is the fault of Biden and Harris. But she's also trying to flip other issues like the fentanyl crisis and such. What's your takeaway from this letter that she sent to President Trump? Because it wasn't very nice.
Well, first, I'm glad you're talking about this. I read the Spanish version of their letter, and it is ridiculous. There's a lot of lies in there, and it's basically exactly what you said. It's blaming all of the problems on the United States when it comes to fentanyl, when it comes to weapons. Actually, they even mentioned the CBP-1 app, which is going to be nothing. There's going to be nothing to do with the Trump administration. So even mentioning that, she's got to know that it was the Biden administration that invented the CBP-1 app. But what she fails to mention here is two things. One, that Mexico has been aiding and abetting millions of people that are not Mexican nationals come through their country, and their country, Mexico, being used as a springboard to enter the United States illegally. Two, I didn't see one word or mention about the cartels and organized crime that is killing hundreds of thousands of Mexican nationals and hundreds of thousands of Americans. This elephant in the room, this gorilla in the room that Mexico just ignores, and that's what the problem that we're in. That's why President Trump has to go to these measures to get their attention, and he will. And it's not just going to be tariffs. I think it'll be above and beyond, because Mexico has already shown their hand that they want to fight about this. Instead of joining forces and saying, let's fix this, because it would actually benefit both countries, Brianna. It's not a bad thing to get rid of the cartels. She also said, by the way, that Mexico doesn't consume fentanyl. Let me tell you, that's an old argument when Mexico didn't use their own supply. They are hooked, and they have a huge problem with addiction in Mexico as well. I wanted to throw that in. But you notice what Canada did? They got on the phone. They got on the phone immediately with President Trump because they said, we better get on this guy's right side here and start negotiating to do something right. That's the right response diplomatically to do. I was in Mexico and I worked there, and I have to tell you the story really quickly. I addressed the Mexican Senate on a human trafficking issue back in 2010. And two questions, the first two questions that I got from the Mexican senators, remember, this was about human trafficking. The first one was, why is the United States the number one consumer of the drugs? And the second question is, why does the USA allow the weapons to come into Mexico? And I'm thinking, we're talking about human trafficking here, trying to solve this problem of, victims that I rescued and women and children being sent into the US. But this is the mentality that people need to understand, that Mexico is first of all, a very prideful nation, and they will throw their sovereignty in our face. So us not to invade it or not address it. But when we, the United States, want to say, listen, we're a sovereign nation, you cannot just ignore it like the way they have been for I don't know, for a long, long time. Oh, no, that doesn't exist. For some reason, it's only one way.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting, Victor. I was going to ask you this too, because the cartels in Mexico elect the officials, not the people, really. So, I've read time and time again that when individuals do run for office in Mexico, if they don't get the blessing of the cartels, that they usually are killed. I think there was one year there was over half of the elected officials that ran for or was trying to run for office were murdered. So, do you think that there's probably that tie here that this president has to she has to be nice to the cartels, or else she might be next in line?
Yes, and I'll put it to you this way. First of all, 37 elected officials last year were murdered. I'm sorry, candidates in Mexico were murdered. Elected officials, like possibly because they were not willing to play ball. This president, Claudia Sheinbaum, is an extension of AMLO 2.0, even worse. She's a full-blown communist. So let's put that on the table, which is a very different extreme ideology that she brings to the table. Think about her mindset. And her mindset is an extension, even worse, of the previous Mexican president, of ignoring the cartels or just letting them give them free range with impunity and go out there and do whatever they want. Are they on the take? I don't know. All I know is that they're not enforcing them. They told her about this huge fight by the Sinaloa cartel within the factions of the Sinaloa cartel that's been ongoing for several months now in the Sonora area. And she said, oh yeah, we're going to take a look at it. This is the problem, is they don't want to address the core issue of what we're dealing with, because we have an addiction problem. I'm okay with admitting that, but let's help each other by taking out the people that are bringing the poison and killing us, so that then we could address the addiction of both countries. But they're not willing to cooperate here. I don't know why the resistance from Mexico. They're going to feel the resistance when it comes with financial sanctions and everything else that comes through that border. The United States has a lot of leeway and a lot of leverage here, Brianna. We could start just by doing 100% checks at the port of entry. How about that? That would slow down and basically stop people from coming into this country. And we're going to end up hurting people that come in legally, right? Because it'll be a sacrifice for the other one, but the cartel will hurt, the commerce will hurt, the trade will hurt. And this is what Mexico sometimes doesn't think about it. They're so concentrated on, oh, we're all going to absorb, the United States of America is going to absorb these costs. I don't believe that. I'm not an economist, but I could tell you, in my experience, these tariffs are be absorbed at the wholesale level. We're not going to see avocados at $20 like some people are claiming. What we are going to see is maybe no avocados coming from Mexico, and that's a big difference.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, here in Florida, we have acres and acres of farmland, so we could make our own avocados. I don't think we need them anymore, and I think that's probably going to be the route we all start to take. I was on a show yesterday. We were talking about how states should start competing with other states, and that's how we build up our economy. And I completely agree with that philosophy. I think it actually do wonders for this country. But I wanted to ask you, Victor, because there was a big announcement this week in regard to Texas. The Texas Land Commissioner Buckingham, she did announce that she was going to be gifting 1,400 acres in Starr County, Texas, for these mass deportation facilities. Now, that's good news because President Trump plans on day one to start deporting individuals. And so he's going to need all the help he can get. What's your takeaway of Texas preparing for these mass deportations and giving away 1,400 acres of land? That's a lot.
I love it. I love that Don Buckingham, the state of Texas, did this. I'm familiar with that area. Um, and, Tom Homan, our border czar, was with the governor the last couple of days. So the preparations are already set in motion. And it's great because the state of Texas is going to cooperate. This is the best feeling when you have the state and the federal government coordinating instead of having the federal government, impede on everything that we're trying to do with border security in Texas. So that's a great change. And then we're looking forward to that here in Texas. We're still going to end up with the same problem in Arizona, New Mexico, and California because of their Democrat governors. But this land, by the way, so several things. One, we will build a facility there, a huge one.
Mhm.
Second, let's not forget about all the soft-sided facilities that the Biden administration built. Initially, a lot of people were thinking, we spend millions of dollars keeping them functioning on a monthly basis. I want to keep them. I want to keep them, and I want to turn these facilities into detention facilities because they're already there. They're on the border. They're in El Paso, Eagle Pass, Del Rio, Texas, Donna, Texas, all over the place. We want to keep them there because we are going to need the extra space on top of the empty ICE beds that we have all over the country, by the way. We are going to need this. Initially, you're not going to see a lot of the large numbers, but then when this thing gets started, you are going to see these facilities start getting full, and then you're going to see a well-oiled machine of people being processed the other way around back to their country of origin.
Yeah, and I think that's really important too. Victor, before we go, I wanted to ask you because the media is gearing up for this narrative, and they're going to try to pin the Trump administration again as this massive separation of families. I guess administration at this point. We know under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris that over 300,000 kids, migrant children who were brought to this country, we can't account for them. We don't know where they are right now. But nobody gets blamed on that, of course. But they're going to hit us with the blame saying that we're deporting parents and that they're leaving behind their children. How do we re-angle this discussion? Because I think Tom Homan said it best when he said that the families could leave together, that it's not just the parents that could be deported.
Two ways. I think that we got to make it very clear, and this will be an education kind of and messaging that the Trump administration has to do is that the responsibility is going to lie on that parent. It's not going to be the federal government making the decision on family separations. If a illegal alien parent with two U.S. citizen children are encountered, the parent is going to decide if they themselves separate from their children. Like you said, Tom said, if you want to take your two U.S. citizen children with you, great. The U.S. government will put them on the plane with you so they can accompany you back to your country of origin. If they are separated, it's going to be on the parent. And that is something that we really have to communicate. The other thing is that we're going to make it very, very visible when these children get rescued. This is what I did in my career. I rescued countless of women and children in horrific conditions. And not all of them are going to be in these conditions, but we don't know. We're gonna end up finding out as we start tracking them down if they're in fact in the sex slave trade, in the forced labor trade, and if in fact even if they're not being exploited, are they even with the next of kin or their parents? And so we are going to have to document that and show the entire world to counter, like you said, the narrative of the left because they're going to say that we are the worst of the worst for separating families. We're going to counter that by saying we're actually discovering and finding the children that the Biden administration lost and putting this in these conditions to begin with.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the point we need to keep highlighting because they did this. We didn't do this. And I think it's laughable too, because, as we cited before, the Mexican president is out here saying she's out here calling our app. She's saying, oh, well, they all have appointments. The migrants who are coming through Mexico, they all have appointments through your app that you guys have created, knowing that that's just something that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris did just to get as many illegals in here as possible. And so it's just all laughable at this point. But it's also sad because, we never talk about the children. And I think that's the biggest point to all of this. The children are the ones who get hurt the most in this when they're being used for, as Democrats like to brag, cheap farm labor and other things, sex labor and sex slavery and all these other things. And we never talk about it. And it's so infuriating. But Victor, I know we're going to spend the next couple of years highlighting all the awful things that Democrats have done to these children and these women. So we look forward to it. Victor Avila, as always, thank you for your time. Time has flown by, honestly. I didn't even realize that we were at the end of November. It's so crazy how it goes by in literally a blink of an eye. But this means that you guys all at home need to get ready because it's Christmas time and you need to start shopping now. And if you want to be someone who is, ahead of the curve, you got to head over to mypillow.com right now. Mike Lindell has an incredible sale going on, but you can't get any of these savings unless you use that promo code BRE. That's promo code BRE. He literally has the My Towels on sale right now for $29.98. I don't think I've ever seen them that low, and those are some of my favorite towels yet. I do love those towels. I'm also going to be gifting a lot of these slippers you see here on your screen. Last year, I did give my mother these, the pink ones as well, and she loved them, loves them. So my sisters will probably get those for their gifts. They've also got the Giza bed sheets. You guys know I love my Giza bed sheets. Those are also on sale as well. So head over to mypillow.com. Use that promo code BRE. That's promo code BRE. Avoid the lines. The retail stores are going to be crazy. And then he's also got the Black Friday specials also going on. So use promo code BRE if you're looking to snag these deals. Wow, the Giza My Pillow, $18.98 with promo code BRE. You got to use it. President Donald Trump is continuing to pick his cabinet members, and there's a lot of criticism going around, but there's a lot of congratulations going around too. So it seems to be very, very interesting. Folks are thrilled with some of the picks, not so thrilled with others. But again, folks, I mean, we're just learning who he's selecting, and we're going to learn more about these individuals. Like yesterday, he did say that he wanted Dr. Jay Bhattacharya to lead the NIH. Now, that's interesting in itself, given the fact that this doctor is someone who is heavily criticized right now by the media for his stance related to the COVID lockdowns and natural immunity. Now, I think that's a good sign when you look at all these article headlines and you see that they're all going against him because they don't like what he said during the pandemic. But don't take my word on it. He was a critic to Dr. Anthony Fauci years ago as well. And so that has me a little optimistic. But take a listen to what he said on Fox about Fauci.
If you look at what he's actually done during the pandemic, Laura, he's lied to the American public over and over and over again. First first masks don't work, but then, oh yeah, I was lying to you. I just wanted to spare the masks. Then he said 60% for herd immunity, 70% for herd immunity. Then, oh no, I was lying to you because you couldn't handle the number. And then he said, if you get vaccinated, you can't get the disease, you can't pass it on. Over and over again, he has basically tried to dissemble in order to manipulate the behavior of American people. How is he going to look in the face of students and say, you have to tell people the truth in public health?
That's what the American people want. They want the truth when it comes to our health. It's one of our goals, especially on this show. We try to dig deeper into these topics. Joining me now to discuss is Dr. Peter McCullough. He's an author, physician, and a scientist, and he's with us now. Dr. McCullough, I want to thank you for joining me because we've been learning about all of these picks right now, and there's a lot that Americans are kind of just questioning, and they're not really sure what they can expect from the latest picks that Trump has made. So Americans who are on the fence right now, what can they expect? Because, we still have confirmation hearings underway. They're going to be taking place soon, I guess I should say. So what do you think we have down the line?
I think Americans will just look at who is in these positions for HHS secretary, which is the biggest one, over a dozen reporting sub-agencies. We had Alex Azar under Obama and Trump in the first administration. He's the former CEO of the U.S. division of Eli Lilly. So he's a drug company, president who led HHS. And then after him, Xavier Becerra, who is a career politician, both of them honestly not aligned with the health of America. Now Robert F. Kennedy comes in with a broad, sweeping mantra of make America healthy again. But Kennedy is going to face huge resistance from big food and big pharma. These lobby groups are very, very powerful. They don't want to see any change occur with respect to their product and their product lines. And RFK is really pledged to make America healthy again. That makes making more healthy both biopharmaceuticals and food products.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm so interested in the RFK aspect of all of this, because the people who have been, I think, are intentionally making this country unhealthy, so we become long-term customers to big pharmaceutical companies, are against him, and I think that's what's so critical here, because we're trying to save America. If you look at our country, the chemicals they pump into our foods, what we have to, I mean, so many. Another one of my family members was just now has diabetes type 2, and that's unheard of in my family, but for some reason, and it's crazy because they're not overweight physically, so this means that it's the chemicals that are being pumped into their food, and so many Americans are dealing with this now. what's the uphill battle that Kennedy's going to have when he's trying to fight these pharmaceutical companies? Because they're a big machine.
Hmm. Well,
Yeah.
I
So what do
can
you
tell
think
you,
he's doing?
he's gonna have advocacy on food. For instance, America Heart, has a resolution since 2009 to get trans fats out of the food supply. McDonald's did this, and the other fast food companies in 2006 in New York City under Bloomberg, heart attack rates dropped. WHO launched an initiative called the Exclude Initiative in 2018 to get trans fats out of the food supply. AHA has been working with WHO and the FDA, which has been slow walking this. Now, fast foods are largely free of trans fats. We're talking about partially hydrogenated soybean, other oil, and other seed oils and vegetable oils. But I can tell you the group that hasn't is all the packaged food that you see, on the counter from crackers to cookies, granola bars, um, microwave popcorn, frozen pizza. They are loaded with trans fats that directly stimulate production of cholesterol, directly atherogenic, make people obese. And so he's going to have a lot of advocacy if Kennedy can show leadership skills and bring all these stakeholders in and drive this over the finish line. Now, he's going to get opposition from all the companies that make these products that don't want to do product reformulation and make healthier products. On the biopharmaceutical side, what Kennedy has said is, listen, he's not going to take away people's vaccines or other biopharmaceuticals, but he's demanding safer products, and the companies show us that they're safe.
Dr. Peter McCullough, I mean, I'm making better choices. I'm avoiding foods that do contain seed oils,
Mhm.
even the processed foods these days. And there are options. I just think a lot of Americans don't actually know the difference between seed oils. I mean, like the potato chips I use, I mean, it's avocado oil, which they say is a little bit healthier for you. But when it comes to educating Americans on making healthier choices, especially when it comes to processed foods, what do you recommend?
A great place to start is the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. I just interviewed their founder and former president, John Kelly. But I agree with you. You have to look at the package. One of the things to avoid is what's called partially hydrogenated anything. That's really that means they're basically super saturating these forms of fats. Most commonly, it's soybean oil, by the way. And so that's what makes something last on the shelf for 10 years. Army rations are loaded with them. So yeah, you don't want to buy things in a package or a box. The other thing that's been pointed out is the food dyes, the bright yellow, orange, and red food dyes that are in various forms of Fruit Loops and other cereals. They potentially are neurotoxic. So as people eat more raw, fresh food, getting away from these packaged food, that's a good step. What people will say is that, listen, they have that the public has to make healthy choices. They're not, quote, being poisoned by the food industry. They're making choices. And like you said, it's up to each one of us to do our own navigation.
Yeah, the problem also is it's a little bit more pricier when you make that little healthier
Mhm.
choice. I mean, I'm noticing a bag of chips for me is like $5 these days when I am going with the one with the avocado oil instead. So there is that one factor that I think a lot of Americans just can't tolerate right now because of all the financial burdens involved with this. But a lot of us look over at the EU and we're told that the way that they've been handling the food issues, banning certain chemicals from being used in food products should be the way that we go about it here in the United States. Do you agree with that?
I agree. European Commission, and I know it well because I testified in the European Parliament last year. The European
Yes.
Commission is the executor of what happens in Europe. They just make decisions that make sense, and they get things out of the food supply, glycosate, trans fats, these harmful food dyes, and they appear to be better off for it. So hopefully Kennedy again can bring the stakeholders in, frame the issues, drive consensus, and then do public policy. That's the correct way to do it. He's going to have to change from being a content expert, he knows a lot, to being a leadership expert. And that's something very different.
I look forward to that, though. It's going to be interesting to see how this all pans out, especially for all of President Trump's picks, because the Senate, I mean, even though Republicans have the majority, they're still planning on pushing back on a lot of these picks because they, aren't very happy with some of them. And that's also in the defense, side of all of this, not just the health side of
Mhm.
it. So we'll see how it all pans out. Dr. Peter McCullough, I want to thank you for joining me today. I also want to remind our audience, you do a great job over at Substack. We've got the link for your Substack in the description of this video. So make sure you give him a look over there as well. Sign up for his list and also give him a follow on X. Dr. Peter McCullough, as always, thank you. The best part about the holidays is getting creative with the gifts that you guys get your loved ones. And I've got the perfect one for you. I myself am a big fan of the products over at fuelprepper.com. Now, you got to listen to this. You guys know I love steak. I literally talk about it all the time, eat it every day. Well, let's just say a hurricane comes or tornado comes, or you just lose power. These products are incredible. This is a great source of protein. It's freeze-dried steaks. It's a sirloin, the one you're looking at right now on your screen. And the best part about it is there's a limited time promo code to save 35% off. That's a massive saving, folks. You got to use stock up 35. That's stock up 35 over at fuelprepper.com. I myself have been building up my stash of meat. You got to do it too. You never know when the power will go out and when you're going to need something on deck. Again, folks, the best part about these products is it's super, super lean because I can't freeze dry fats. So you're getting literally the best part of the protein in all of this. And you're also getting that great savings that's only going to be around for a short time. So use stock up 35 at fuelprepper.com. Again, folks, it's a limited time you're going to have that savings. Look, in my card alone, I just saved $93.80. Yes, on 2 products. So you got to head over to fuelprepper.com and use that promo code while it's still going on. That's stock up 35, stock up 35, only at fuelprepper.com. There's a lot of good changes being made right now in our federal government when it comes to making America healthy again. That is the goal. As many of you guys know, I've been on this voyage, I'd say, to get healthier, and I've lost a ton of weight. I brag about it all the time, but I've lost 30 pounds, and it's because I'm trying to learn more about the science behind our food. And well, obviously on this journey, I'm learning a ton, but I'm learning even more, and that's why I'm really excited to announce that I'm partnering with an incredible, incredible organic superfoods brand. Joining me now to discuss all the incredible things we have coming your way is Raven. She's an organic farmer and a holistic health expert, and she's with me now to discuss. Raven, I'm very excited for this because I'm very passionate about food. Everyone knows who follows me on the show and follows me on social media, and I've been trying to learn how to eat healthier. And what you guys have set up is incredible. But I want to talk about what's been happening over the years to our food because we weren't always this unhealthy. We've gradually become this unhealthy, and it's because of the chemicals that are being pumped into our products. So let's talk about that for a second. Give us a little background on all of that.
Well, the most important aspect that I would love to share with your audience is to have an awareness that glyphosate, aka Roundup, was introduced into the United States food supply in 1974. And if you really want to see what's happened to the US citizens alone, you can look at photos prior to 1974 of any major beach in America and look at photos in the 2000s of people on the beach in America. And something is very, very wrong. And what I have noticed is that humans have been genetically modified. So if you're consuming genetically modified food that's been sprayed with glyphosate, aka Roundup, it's going to destroy your gut microbiome and you are no longer going to be able to absorb nutrition. So many people are still walking around just compromises of convenience, whatever's fast, whatever's cheap, filling their stomach, but they're not getting any nutritional content. And if anything, they might actually be paying for their demise.
Yeah, and that's the scary part in all of this. Now we're seeing that President Trump is shaping up the USDA, the FDA, to all of these people who are trying to fight to make these critical changes, and we're very hopeful for that. But for now, that's going to take years for them to fix all these issues. But for now, you guys have come up with a great product that's super convenient. It's a line of great products that are super convenient, and I actually know this because Mel K, as many of you guys know on the show, I was over at her house one day. We were hanging out, and her and her husband go, "Brianna, you got to try this," and they handed me a bunch of products and I tried it and I felt amazing the next day.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So let's talk about the solutions that are so convenient that Americans can't use the excuses anymore, that they're just looking for convenience. That's why eating all these unhealthy foods, because you guys have found a solution for that.
Absolutely. What we have found a solution to is how to support anyone who's ready for change, to divest from what they are currently spending their money on, pull your money out of that grocery budget and invest into your health. We have put together a perfect solution to cover all of your needs when it comes to protein, fruits, vegetables, organic juices. And of course, we have a ton of natural food-based supplements that can also support you to obtain the ultimate health. And what we've found is that a 30-day program is really the best way to bring someone into the fold and let them experience what it feels like to be pain free, what it feels like to save time and money, and to actually start to look and feel their best. That breaks down to about $6 per meal, or about $12 per day, to replace 2 organic meals. And it's delivered direct to your door. All you need is pure, clean water, shake and go.
Yeah, that's so incredible. And it's so convenient. It's really hard for people to sit there and say that they can't do it, because now you've got all the material you need to do it. And the way you just $6, I mean, that's crazy, because I go to a juice bar right around the corner of my house all the time, and I'm paying at least $12 for one drink. So that's
Yep.
really impressive. And that's without tip, of course. But
Of course.
Raven, I think tip is so crazy these days. Raven, I want to point our audience to the website that we've set up for them. It's breesuperfoods.com, and you guys are running a special. There's so many specials going on right now. It's the Black Friday special. If you guys head over there and use promo code BREE, that's promo code BRE, you're going to save $120 off the retail price. And there's all these other ways you could save too on the website. So you got to go head over to breesuperfoods.com right now. Take a look around. There's so many different options for you. Raven, thank you for jumping on with me today. I greatly appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Bree. I'm all about giving the gift of health, and what a better time of year to really decide what we want to create for ourselves as we're going into 2025.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. I want to thank our audience for being so supportive of this program. As many of you guys know, this show relies strongly on you guys. You guys are the one who keep us up and running. No corrupt corporations or foreign countries are funding this program. It's literally you all at home. So we've set up a platform for you guys to donate directly to this program. It's supportbre.com. That's supportbre.com. I actually have a goal right now that we've set for ourselves, because I'm looking to go to the inauguration to cover that. And my goal, and I'm hoping you guys can help us get to it, is $5,000. It's actually very expensive for the hotels in the area for that night. So if you'd like to help us reach that goal, please consider heading over to supportbre.com. That's supportbre.com. I mean, literally, if you go on Expedia right now, it's like $1,000 a night for a hotel in the region, not even in the DC area. So we greatly appreciate it. I greatly appreciate it when you head over to supportbre.com and make that donation. It's going to be a one-time donation or a monthly donation, and you get to pick the dollar amount, and it's all safe and secure. It's actually done through DonorBox. So head over to supportbre.com and make that donation, because we greatly appreciate it when you do so. What a great way to end tonight's show, Make America Healthy Again. I hope you're on board. I know I am. It's been a crazy journey, honestly, in the last year and a half, losing about 35 pounds. I'm very, very proud of that. And I look forward to passing on all of my knowledge to you all. But don't let it bother you, because I know tomorrow's Thanksgiving, so we're all going to be eating. I'll be cooking up a good rib roast. I'm very excited about that. It's the time of year when I stuff a rib roast with garlic and roast that sucker up. My favorite. I don't like turkey as much. I know a lot of you probably love turkey. Not so much for me. I'll eat it if I have to, but I decided this year I'm going to cook a turkey breast for the pups, and their dog friend will be over, of course. So they'll have a turkey breast. They'll enjoy that. And then I'll also make some creamy spinach, maybe some mashed potatoes. So there will be some greatness on board for tomorrow. Yeah, it's going to be a good one. But until then, folks, we're going to be back here on Monday. So enjoy your Thanksgiving. Enjoy Black Friday, but don't go too crazy, of course. And we'll catch you here on Monday.